Are we, man, spreading enough? Mark Jones, really interesting dude. He is a Simpleology power user. He's been in my tribe for a long time. Great, great guy. Very, very intelligent comments always. He says, I think it would be interesting to talk about getting out of the cycle of debt. I think that holds a lot of people back. It's not just the lack of money and opportunity, but the psychological prison of not being able to think of anything else, like creatively building a business. See, I love this dude.
And the word creatively is very important.
Very, very important.
Creativity goes down. Okay. I'll give you my radical answer. It's very extreme. It's what I did. And it's what I don't recommend, but people can do whatever the fuck they want when they hear the information.
Gigolo?
And somebody did do it, and it changed his life. I had, now, I look back now and I laugh. I had about $30,000 in total debt.
Okay.
And it was credit cards, it was all these little things that had piled up in baggage over my bad decisions ever since I was 18 years old, and I got a credit card from the department store, my first one at a $500 limit, racked it all up in chocolate and bullshit, and then didn't pay it because I'm like, why would I pay it back? I got the free money, fuck paying it back. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, let me go to the bank. I got a bank account and it has $200 overdraft. It's like, wait, what am I? If it's $200 overdraft, that's $200 free dollars. So I can put a coupon for McDonald's in the envelope and put it in the machine and say it's $200 and they'll give you $200 cash. Bad stuff when I was 18 years old.
Man, clever though. Oh, reminds me when we were kids, we used my uncle's metal lathe and we made fake quarters to play video games. Right. Similar kind of thing.
So here's what I did, and that's why I say don't recommend it. And a lot of people will be like, question my, what do you want? Question my morals or whatever. But I don't give a fuck. My morals are my own. I have my own thoughts about the money supply and.
And when people are starving, dude, everybody can do shady things.
And I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes, but I'm not going to fuck people over. But I also,
you fucked over the bank. That's a little.
I'm convinced. Yeah. I know the truth about the money supply. Yeah. I know the truth of how it was created. I know my signature created this goddamn money. I know that it's just a game and it's a bullshit and really that trapping. And so what I did, I had $30,000 in debt. This was many years ago, and and now that's like nothing. Yeah. But there's two ways you can go. You can work hard and you can pay it all off, and then you did it, and then you're good. Yeah. But for me, it was so weighing me back, and it was such a prison that I couldn't get out of, and that debt, the idea of that debt, so imprisoned me, and me like watching Zeitgeist, and me understanding how all of this is possibly on purpose to create that prison. I just had enough, and I said, I'm washing my hands of it. Yeah. And I said, that's it. Yeah. Come at me, try to get it from me, try to phone me, try to kill me, try to take me to jail, do whatever you want, but I don't own this. Debt's not mine anymore. I washed my fucking hands of it. I didn't owe people money, but I owned these banks and shit money. And I said, no more.
So what happened?
Nothing.
So do you guys, in the United States, we have a law where if 7 years pass.
Same.
Okay. So you just let the 7 years pass and that was it?
That's it.
Okay.
It's gone.
High five.
And I said no more. And
I don't blame you.
But the moment I decided it was gone, all of a sudden I was free. And then I did business and I was creative and I brought a lot of value to the world and everything happened. Yeah. But I decided in that moment that it will no longer.
Yeah. You know, listen, I wouldn't advise somebody to do that, but I also wouldn't fault them for it either. You know, I mean, especially, if we're talking about
some people know themselves and
paying back the banks. I mean, like I have zero sympathy for the banks.
Fuck the banks. Yeah. Come on, man.
I mean, if it's a community bank, that's one thing. Community bank is a very different thing. They're dealing with real money. But if they're banks that are tied to the Federal Reserve System, you know, they can, you know,
privatize the wins, socialize the losses.
That's right.
Give me a break.
I know, right? And we have to pay for the losses. Yeah. So that's, this when he says socialize the losses, so everybody understands. We're talking about, the people paying back.
The banks got bailed out for their own investment.
Well, if you read The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
G. Edward Griffin says that's all planned. He even predicted that stuff. And if you look at the newer versions of it, you know, after the last financial crisis, he was like, told you so.
My parents thought I was crazy because before the financial crisis, So Robert Kiyosaki recommends you read Creature from Jekyll Island and all of that, and
Yeah,
and
I'm right
he
there with him on
he
that.
had his book, and fucking Kiyosaki predicted the crash,
Yeah.
almost exactly, and he was harping about it for the year before it, and I was like reading this in Jekyll. I told my parents, I'm like, there's a crash, it's gonna happen soon, it's gonna happen, and then
Yeah.
I was with them, and then it did on that day, and it started. I'm like, oh my god, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I got to meet that dude. We've actually got a bunch of mutual friends, and you probably do have some mutual friends with him as well. But Vichai Romi and Chana and Sangwan and those guys up there in Bangkok, they run seminars for him, and they were telling me like, Robert and I, and probably you, have got a lot in common. Robert Kiyosaki, is a Bucky Fuller fan.
Yes.
Because that was something that was very surprising to me. I was like, wow, I didn't know that dude had that kind of depth. And he was referring to like Grunge of Giants and
Yes,
Grunch of Giants.
that's an
and all
incredible
that.
book too.
Yeah. It's another thing that like opens up those rabbit holes for people and does so in a very intellectual and documented way. So it's like, no, this isn't just conspiracy theory nonsense. It's like, when it's coming from Bucky Fuller's mouth, it's it's pretty legit stuff almost all the time.
Craziest books ever.
So that is one way you can deal with the debt, right? Going bankrupt is another way, and it's the same thing, 7 years.
Yeah.
The only difference between going bankrupt and just pretending like the debt doesn't exist is that bankruptcy will give you some advantages.
Right.
Where, like, you can go back and now start to rebuild your credit from day one. Say again. You do, yeah.
Yeah.
But
it can that word, the label,
Yeah.
can fuck with people.
But 7 years later, that label goes away.
Yeah, that's
But
I mean,
the
yeah, that
one
can-
advantage is, like, when you go bankrupt, immediately you can start to rebuild some credit, right? And there are some assets that are protected. So there are a few advantages to doing it. So we're just kind of laying out different options
Yes.
for people to consider, right? Another one is, so there are debt consolidation programs, which are not bad. Some of these guys will get all of your debts consolidated in one location, and they'll try
One
to renegotiate.
monthly payment, yeah.
Yeah, one monthly payment, which makes more sense.
I also have a friend, Curtis Nally.
Yeah.
He the way he looks at credit reports, he can wipe a lot of that out. He can wipe a lot of that out. A lot of it's not valid.
That's his
even though
business.
even though people owe it.
Let's give him a plug. What's his URL so people can go?
Curtis, CurtisNalley. You search him up on Facebook as far
On
as
the
I understand.
FaceTubes?
I
Okay.
can't remember the name of his
Yeah.
business, but he provides financing for people and for entrepreneurs at a very low credit rating, very low typically credit rating than they thought they'd be able to apply, because he goes through your report and he can move things around. But the point is, there's a lot of things that you may owe, but the way that it's there and then this, he finds out that it's actually invalid, he wipes them out.
There's another thing that people can do that's called debt restructuring, and it's very similar to debt consolidation, but there's more negotiation involved in it. Where they call up and they talk to Turkey to the bank and they go, "What would you like? Would you like some of your money or would you like none of it?" Right? And if you'd like some, let's talk about how much some you're
Dude,
gonna
that's
get,
how I used to talk to the credit collections.
Yeah.
Because they bought the account from let's say it was the phone company.
Some of those people calling are
dude.
just
And I say,
so
hey, you
dickish.
want something or do you want nothing?
Yeah.
And
Very smart. So you figured it out.
well,
I'm calling this up so I can get to some other questions here. But I think so the other thing is also, don't go in debt in the first place. You know what I mean? Try to live within your means as much as you can. And again, this is why I like the sensibility of, I could get the latest and greatest phone, but my last phone that I bought was a refurbished iPhone 6. And there are people who give me all kinds of convoluted arguments for it. You're missing this and you're missing that. And I'm like, I run my business just fine on my refurbished iPhone 6. I don't need that latest and greatest technology.
I love it. It's just but it's irrational, but it's awesome.
Well, but there are things you have on there. Like we were talking about getting the bouquet effect.
Yeah, but everybody has their things. See, for me, I had to be the first to get the virtual reality. I had to be. I knew it was
was that guy.
I knew it was like 3 times the price, but I just wanted to experience that first. It's just so exciting. I'm like, why would I wait? What if I die next week?
I know.
I didn't get to try VR.
Yeah.
What if VR in heaven sucks? What if it's not even 4K resolution?
No, that's right.
What if they didn't make it there
You
yet?
left this realm before it was time. Exactly. So I on purpose, as I have become more and more disciplined in my life, the more and more I started to embrace difficulty. right? I also started to embrace
stoic you.
You know, I mean, I love stoic. I mean, I've been into stoicism long before it was, you know, a cool trendy thing.
That's
you know?
called being broke.
Yeah,
Fantasy poverty.
yeah. Well, that's
I was a stoic for.
Yeah, that's probably when I was a kid. That's probably why I was digging on Marcus Aurelius when I was 13. You know, because we were flat broke.
Damn,
you know,
man, I had no idea who that guy was then.
Yeah.
I'm a late bloomer to self-help. I didn't start studying till like 21.
I was very fortunate that I was exposed to some very, very cool ideas. Like
That's
I
why
was
you're like
reading
a
Robert
human
Anton Wilson when I was
encyclopedia.
like 9, you know. So
9?
Yeah. I started reading all kinds of. I was reading like books about life extension when I was 7.
What?
Like I was, well, because my parents never made me go to school, so I ended up just going to libraries, and because that was more exciting. To
And
me
just
than other
finding things that were interesting.
Yeah, I found shit that I was interested in.
Whoa.
And lo and behold, when you let a kid go study shit that they're interested in, they soak up information like a sponge. So a lot of people are like, man, how do you like know so much shit? And it's like, well, it's because I follow my curiosity.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's a lot to the fact that I was actually spared from the formal educational system.
Shit, that's
because I think I would have been handicapped.
See, when I spent like my I call them my study years, but from 2004 to about 2010, I was obsessive. Like, and I would be like, why have a job when I can just like sleep in my mom's couch and then just go to the library for 10 hours a day every single day and just read.
And look at where it took you, man. I mean,
but at the time, man,
a great amount of knowledge.
But I would sit there and I would read a book on quantum physics, and I'd read the whole thing in the day. And then I would read it, and it would all different things, and like I was obsessed.
Yeah.
I forgot almost all that shit now, but it pops out in weird things. And then like you're like a human encyclopedia. How can you think of these things, and how do you connect these things? But like it's all in there.
Yeah.
Even if you just can't like think of it on command, all that shit's in there.
Right.